Hello everybody, it's Vertical Sandwich. Welcome back to book reviews. So for the next 3 reviews in this session, we'll be dealing with a trilogy. So this is the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. I checked. It's Jemisin. I actually just found a video of her introducing herself. So she pronounced her name right. That being said, okay, so this won the Hugo Award in 2016. It's the first book in a trilogy. The second book won in 2017, and the third book won in 2018. She's the only person to ever win 3 years in a row. It's the only trilogy to win in every book. So, and it's a fantasy trilogy. Maybe it's more fantasy than it is science fiction. So, it starts with the Great Red Rift across the heart of the world's sole continent, spewing ash that blots out the sun. It starts with death, with a murdered son and a missing daughter. It starts with betrayal, and long dormant wounds rising up to fester. This is the stillness, a land familiar with catastrophe, where the power of the earth is wielded as a weapon, and where there is no mercy. Okay, so the way the world that N.K. Jemisin designed for this trilogy works is that it's a world where people fear earthquakes, and that various kind of earth-based catastrophes have started things called ages or seasons, the 5th seasons. And when a 5th season comes, it causes catastrophe, and these entire civilizations have been built around surviving kind of these catastrophes. It's like a ground-worshipping civilization. All of their religious lore is carved in stone. It's referred to as stone lore. And there are people in this world who can control the earth with their mind, and they are persecuted as witches. Except for some of them that are trained by an organization to do helpful things, like steady earthquakes, or clear, the main example in this book is clear coral out of a harbor that is, blocked to shipping. So there are those people, and they are graded almost like martial artists by the level of rings they're allowed to wear. 10 rings being the most, and there is a 10-ringer in here. That's what they're called, a 10-ringer. And his 4-ringed kind of assistant. And then the book is told from the point of view of 3 women. One of them is this assistant to this 10-ring master who wears 4 rings herself and is trained by a place called the Fulcrum. And then one part of the story is told by the point of view of a little girl who has this innate ability and has been sent to the Fulcrum as a little girl in her kind of early training. And then the main story is told from the point of view of a woman who has been hiding in a village and has the ability, and so do her children, and her husband has found out and beaten her young son to death, and she is leaving to kill him. She's out for revenge. And all I have to say is it's masterful. So let's dive kind of into this woman who is leaving the village to go in search of her husband with the help of like the village elder. Rast turns to you, plainly uncomfortable. Sorry about Jija, he says. Not about Uche. But maybe that's for the best. You need to keep your head clear. About all of it. Shit. I hope you find the bastard. You only shake your head. Your throat is tight. Torimo has been your home for 10 years. You only started to think of it as such. Home around the time of Uche's birth. But that's more than you ever expected to do. You remember chasing Uche around the green after he first learned to run. You remember Jija helping Nassim build a kite and fly it. Nassim is the daughter of this woman who the husband has either killed or run away with. She doesn't know which. The kite's remnants are still in a tree somewhere on the eastern side of town. But it is not as hard to leave as you thought it would be. Not now, with your former neighbor's stare sliding over your skin like rancid oil. Thanks, you mutter, meaning for it to cover many things, because Rast didn't have to help you. He has damaged himself by doing so. The gate minders respect him less now, and they'll talk. Soon everyone will know he's a raga lover, which is dangerous. Headmen can't afford that kind of weakness when a season's coming on. But for the moment, what matters most to you is this moment of public decency, which is a kindness and an honor you never expected to receive. You aren't sure how to react to it. He nods, uncomfortable as well, and turns away as you start towards the gap in the gate. Perhaps he does not see Kara nod to another of the gate minders. Perhaps he does not see the latter woman quickly shoulder her weapon and orient it on you. Perhaps you will think later Rask would have stopped the woman, or somehow prevented everything to come if he had seen. You see her, though, mostly out of the periphery of your vision. Then everything happens too fast to think. And because you don't think, because you've been trying not to think, and this means you're out of the habit, because thinking means you will remember that your family is dead, and everything that meant happiness is now a lie, and thinking of that will make you break and start screaming and screaming and screaming. And because once upon a time, in another life, you learned to respond to sudden threats in a very particular way, you reach for the air around you and pull, and brace your feet against the earth beneath you and anchor and narrow, and when the woman fires the crossbow, the bolt blurs toward you. Just before the bolt hit, it bursts into a million glittering frozen flecks. Naughty, naughty, chides a voice in your head, the voice of your conscience, deep and male. You forget this thought almost the instant it occurs. That voice is from another life. Life. You look at the woman who just tried to kill you. What the shit? Kara stares at you as if stunned by your failure to fall down dead. He crouches, hands balled into fists, nearly jumping up and down in his agitation. Shoot her again! Kill her! Shoot Earth, damn it, before... What the fuck are you doing? Rask, finally noticing what's happening, turns back. It's too late. Down below your feet and everyone else's, a shake begins. It's hard to tell at first. There is no warning jangle of Sasuna, as there would be if the movement of the earth came from the earth. That's why people like these fear people like you, because you're beyond sense and preparation. You're a surprise, like a sudden toothache, like a heart attack. The vibration of what you're doing rises fast to become a rumble of tension that can be perceived with ears and feet and skin, if not sesapine. And by this point, it's too late. Kara frowns, looking at the ground beneath his feet. Crossbow woman pauses in the middle of loading another bolt, eyes widening as she stares at the shivering string of her weapon. You stand surrounded by swirling flecks of snow and disintegrated crossbow bolt. Around your feet there is a 2-foot circle of frost rhyming the packed earth. Your looks waft gently in the rising breeze, or your locks. You can't! Rask whispers the words, his eyes widening at the look on your face. You don't know what you look like right now, but it must be bad. He shakes his head as if in denial, as if denial will stop this, taking a step back and then another. Essen, you killed him, you say to Rask. This is not a rational thing. You mean you, plural, even though you're speaking to you specific. Rask didn't try to kill you, had nothing to do with Uche, but the attempt on your life has triggered something raw and furious and cold. You cowards, you animals, who look at a child and see prey. Jija's the one to blame for Uche. Some part of you knows that, but Jija grew up here in Torimo. That kind of hate that can make a man murder his own son. It came from everyone around you. Rask inhales, Essen, and then the valley floor splits open. Okay! I apologize for the profanity, but this book is amazing. N.K. Jemisin, here's the thing. I opened this book and I went, oh, I have to read this whole trilogy. And it's going to be a modern trilogy. So it's going to have its head all the way up its own butt. And it's going to be trying to make me think of how smart it is and stuff like that. N.K. Jemisin is a masterful storyteller. Just masterful. She just gives you this story. And she just goes like, okay, here's the world. And you're like, well, that's kind of an interesting world. And she's like, and here are the people. And you're like, these are kind of interesting people. And then she just goes with it. And you just get so swept up. I blazed through these books so fast. Like, they're so good. That little bit of, like, amazing kind of super action I read you, that's, like, that punctuates this book over and over. It's like lull, crisis, amazingness, lull, crisis, amazingness. This is like one of the best roller coaster rides I've ever taken. It's just a good book. It's just an amazingly enjoyable book. And like I was so relieved when I read the first book. I was like, this book is amazing. Like this series is going to be unbelievably good. And there's a lot of stuff to unpack about the world the Broken Earth series takes place in. But you have 3 books to do that. And this book is like 500 pages or something, isn't it? Something? It's like 450 pages. And like it does not feel like that. You fly through this. And it's so good. It's just so well written. The characters are just amazing. Like everything about it is good. It's just such a good story. I can't tell you that there's stuff underneath here. I mean, like there's some real literature kind of, you're going to learn some valuable lessons about humanity kind of packed into this trilogy. But that doesn't matter. It's secondary to the fact that it's just a great set of stories. Like it's just so good. So good. Like it's just so believably beautiful that like you just get this incredibly like these powerful figures who are being shaped by things beyond their control in this world that treats them as kind of these horrible pariahs, and they're just trying to survive. I mean, they're just trying to do what they naturally have to in their lives, and her kind of like the fact that the novel is written in like second person, which is so weird. Like it was a thing I was taught in college is that you never write in second person because it's impossible to pull off. But like you get to be Essen through this book, and it just tells you like you don't know who you are. But just everything about the characterization of the women in these books is so brilliant, and you just settle into it. You just go like, okay, yeah, we're this person. I'm this not knowing what is going on and not knowing how to deal with things. And then the circumstances of kind of everything that happens to these characters is so great. Like, it's just such a good book. It's just, I can't tell you how good the book is. You have to read the book. You just buy the whole trilogy. Buy the whole trilogy right now. Just go, this is a New York Times bestseller. I bought them in a set. Like, you can just do that. You can just buy a set, and they'll all come together, and they'll look beautiful like this one, because this is great. And it'll say, winner of the Hugo Award 2016 there. It's so good. It was so good. I couldn't put it down. I loved everything about it. I thought it was amazing. And this is the thing is, what I read you was a snippet from the main character's kind of plot line, but the 2 peripheral characters, the woman training at the fulcrum and leaving with the man who is supposed to help her out and guide her, and father her child, apparently. And the young girl going to the fulcrum, like, are as intriguing and as wonderful. It's just amazing. So yeah, I mean, just all of this. This is so good. This is so good. It's beautifully written. It's so enthralling, and N.K. Jemisin has multiple trilogies, and I will read them. Like, she has converted me. I am a believer in her craft. So I can't rave about this enough, how good this was and how shocked I was following reading things like The Wind-Up Girl and then like reading something like this and going like, oh, the 2000 teens produced some really amazing stories for Hugo Award winners. It's great. It's so great. And like not pretentious at all. It's just a great read. You won't feel like you're being talked down to or you're being forced to admire an author's intellect. You'll just feel like you're being told a great story. And that's amazing. It's so amazing. So, yeah, you should check this out. And I'll be back for the second book, which will have a spoiler alert for this one. Bye.